The sun had just risen over the capital city of the Varellan Dominion, and its golden light reflected off the polished towers and marble streets. The city was alive with activity. Hover vehicles glided between skyscrapers, and citizens moved through open plazas with a quiet, confident elegance. The Varellans were proud and disciplined. They had ruled this part of the galaxy for centuries, believing themselves superior to all other races. And yet, in the grand palace at the center of the city, a human walked calmly among them, an anomaly in every sense of the word. Aaron Blake was not like the diplomats or soldiers around him. He was human, and to the Varellans, humans were curious, strange, and slightly unpredictable. But they had also learned that humans could be dangerous when cornered. Aaron wore a simple uniform, his chest bearing the small insignia of Earth's United Federation. His eyes scanned the vast hall of the palace, and his movements were deliberate but unassuming. He was here to attend a meeting with the daughter of the Varellan Empress, Princess Lysera. Lysera was elegant, her silver hair cascading over her shoulders, her deep violet eyes commanding attention. She sat on a throne-like chair in a room filled with advisors, guards, and dignitaries from distant worlds. Despite the calm appearance, attention hung in the air. The princess had received threats before, but the human at her side was a puzzle. He did not flinch at her guard's strict demeanor, and he carried no sign of fear. The meeting began formally, with the human and the princess exchanging polite words. Guided by translators, Aaron listened carefully as Lysera spoke of trade agreements, border disputes, and the fragile peace that held the Dominion together. The other delegates murmured in approval or disapproval, but Aaron's attention was partly on the guards. They stood stiffly at attention, their eyes constantly scanning the room. Something in the air did not feel right, though Aaron could not yet place it. A sudden, distant vibration shook the floor. At first, it was faint, almost like the hum of a heavy engine, but it grew stronger and more irregular. The guards' heads snapped toward the windows, and whispers ran through the room. Aaron's instincts sharpened immediately. Trouble, he muttered to himself, before anyone could react. The palace's massive outer doors burst open. A deafening roar echoed through the hall. Smoke and dust swirled as debris fell from the ceiling. A huge shadow appeared in the doorway, a carnivore beast, one of the deadliest creations the rebels had unleashed against the Dominion. It was enormous, its skin thick and armored, its claws like curved blades, its glowing red eyes fixed on the people in the room, and its open maw revealed rows of sharp teeth. The Varellan guards froze. They were trained, yes, but not for this. Fear showed in their movements as some of them stumbled backward, and a few turned and ran. Lysera gasped, stepping back from her throne. Her usual calm composure had vanished. Aaron did not move backward. Instead, he pushed forward, assessing the creature and the collapsing room. He grabbed Lysera's arm gently but firmly. "Stay close," he said. His voice was calm, steady, carrying authority that seemed strange coming from a human. The carnivore beast roared again, taking a step into the room. The floor shook under its weight, and several smaller carnivore drones followed behind it. The guards that remained tried to form a line, but their fear made them falter. One of them fired a plasma rifle, but the shot barely scratched the beast's armor. "Move!" Aaron shouted to Lysera, pulling her behind a marble pillar as another chunk of ceiling fell with a crash nearby. Dust filled the air, stinging eyes and lungs. The princess's breathing was rapid, and her hands shook. For the first time, she looked not like a royal, but like someone terrified and vulnerable. "Why are you not running?" she asked in a trembling voice. "Because I do not leave people behind," Aaron replied simply. "Stay low and keep moving when I tell you." He scanned the room for a path. Debris from the falling ceiling blocked the usual exits. Sparks flew from damaged control panels along the walls. The carnivore was advancing, each step causing cracks to appear in the marble floor. Aaron knew time was short. If the beast reached them, both of them could die in seconds. He spotted a collapsed side door that could provide a narrow path out of the chamber. Pulling Lysera along, he ducked and weaved through the falling debris. The carnivore lunged at a group of guards, scattering them with a single swipe of its claw. Aaron kept his focus on his priority, keeping the princess alive. A plasma blast from a nearby drone scorched the pillar beside them, sending dust and small fragments into their faces. Lysera cried out, and Aaron wrapped an arm around her, shielding her as he pushed forward. Every instinct told him to fight, but survival was the immediate goal. The human shield concept was literal now. They reached the broken side door, but the path was blocked by a beam that had fallen from the ceiling. Aaron assessed it quickly. It would take strength to move it. Humans were not known for raw power compared to the Varellans, but Aaron had spent his life in situations where strength and speed could save lives. He grabbed the beam and lifted it with a grunt, clearing the way. Lysera ducked under it, following him closely. As they moved, the Karn beast turned toward them. It had realized its prey was escaping. It roared and charged. Aaron dropped to the side, using his body as a shield for Lysera as the beast's claws slammed into the floor and wall, where they had just stood. The impact shook the chamber violently. Pieces of marble flew everywhere. Lysera pressed herself against him, gasping for air. "We are almost there," Aaron said, keeping his voice calm to steady her nerves. "Keep going when I say. Trust me." He led her through a maze of broken corridors and fallen pillars. The alarms continued to blare, and distant explosions added to the chaos. Some of the Varellan soldiers who had tried to regroup were now retreating again, clearly overwhelmed by the Karn's assault. Lysera noticed that no one else was helping them. It was just her and the human. Finally, they reached a large hall with a high ceiling, but it was also under attack. Several Karn drones moved across the room, scanning for survivors. Aaron spotted a partially lowered bulkhead, a heavy steel plate that could create a barrier between them and the monsters. It was their only chance. "Behind me," he ordered. He pulled Lysera down as the Karn lunged. Aaron managed to dive forward, bracing himself as the bulkhead slammed into place, cutting the creature off from them. Dust and smoke filled the space, and for a moment, there was silence, broken only by the faint sounds of the beast roaring from the other side. Lysera stared at him, wide-eyed. She had seen warriors before, soldiers trained in battle, but none had ever faced such terror and stood firm. "You didn't run," she whispered, almost in disbelief. "I never run from someone who cannot defend themselves," he replied. She could not understand it fully. To her people, humans were primitive. To her soldiers, humans were unpredictable. But now she realized they were something else entirely. They could be brave, yes, but they could also be selfless. They could place another's life above their own. Aaron checked his arm, which had been grazed by debris. The cut was bleeding, but it was minor. More importantly, he was still focused on keeping her alive. "We need to keep moving," he said. "The bulkhead is temporary. We have to reach a safer place." Lysera nodded, gathering herself. Her fear had not vanished, but it had changed into something else, respect. She realized that in the human, there was a courage she had never seen in her guards. And more than that, there was a calm decisiveness, a willingness to act when others froze. Aaron led her toward another corridor, eyes constantly scanning for threats. Every few steps, dust fell from the ceiling, sparks flew from damaged panels, and distant roars reminded them that the danger was not over. Yet he did not falter. His steps were steady, confident. He had a mission: protect the princess at all costs. The city outside was in chaos. Explosions shook distant towers, and fires burned along the streets. The Karn rebels were ruthless, showing no mercy. But inside the palace, one human made a stand. One human refused to flee, even as the elite guards abandoned their posts. Lysera walked behind him, amazed at his courage. She had been taught that humans were weak, that they lacked discipline and honor. But here was one, standing firm, shielding her with his own body, moving with a purpose that no Varellan guard had shown. For the first time, she saw humans in a different light. As they moved forward, Aaron glanced back at the bulkhead, then at the collapsing hallways behind them. He knew the path ahead would be dangerous, but fear did not control him. Only one thought mattered: get Lysera to safety. And so, with dust in their lungs and chaos surrounding them, the human and the princess moved through the ruins of the palace. Each step a test of courage, each breath a fight against panic. The alarms blared, the Karn roared, and the city shook, but Aaron Blake did not waver. He had made a choice. He would shield her, even if it meant risking his life. Aaron led Lysera through the crumbling corridors, their steps echoing against broken marble walls. The air smelled of smoke, dust, and ozone from the stray energy blasts. Fires flickered in the corners, painting the walls with orange and red shadows. Lysera's hand shook as she clutched his arm. Every step forward felt like a battle against the panic rising inside her. The Karn were relentless, even through the thick palace walls. Their roars and the clattering of their metal weapons rang loud. Aaron kept glancing behind, listening carefully. He had trained himself to detect danger before it came. Humans had a strange intuition, he thought, a sense for risk that other species often lacked. "Can you fight?" Lysera asked in a small voice, breaking the tense silence. "I can," Aaron replied calmly. "But my priority is keeping you safe. You need to stay low, stay close, and trust me." Lysera swallowed hard. It was strange hearing a human speak so confidently while chaos raged around them. She had seen soldiers, elite Varellans trained for combat, and yet none of them had acted like him. Most would have fled or hesitated. Aaron never hesitated. They turned a corner, and a hallway stretched ahead. Broken glass sparkled like small stars across the floor. Smoke rose in spirals from smoldering wiring along the walls. Then, from the shadows, a Karn scout emerged. It was smaller than the war beast, but no less deadly. Its clawed limbs scraped the marble floor as it approached. Aaron raised a plasma pistol he had taken from a fallen guard and fired. The shots hit the scout, and it screeched in pain but kept advancing. Aaron's hand was steady, firing short bursts. Lysera had never seen someone move so quickly. Aiming precisely and calculating every move while under pressure, the scout charged, its claws swinging. Aaron rolled to the side, grabbing Lysera and dragging her down behind a half-collapsed wall. Sparks from the fallen ceiling rained on them. "Stay low," he shouted. Lysera pressed herself against him, her heart pounding. After a tense moment, the scout backed off, assessing the damage it had received. Aaron took the opportunity to push Lysera forward, keeping her shielded as they moved down the hall. Dust swirled in the air, and the walls cracked as distant explosions shook the palace. Each step brought new danger, but Aaron's focus never wavered. They reached a set of double doors leading to the inner garden. Through the cracked glass, Aaron could see chaos outside. Karn drones patrolled the marble terraces, and the massive war beast was still searching for survivors. Fires had started to spread across the garden, and debris from the upper levels of the palace fell onto the marble paths. Aaron pulled Lysera close. "We have to cross the garden," he said. "There is a small tunnel at the far end. It leads to a safe zone where the palace security has regrouped." Lysera looked at the ruined garden, her eyes wide. "It looks impossible," she whispered. "We'll never make it," Aaron shook his head. "Impossible is not a word we use. We move, and we survive. Trust me." They stepped into the open garden. Smoke and fire made it hard to see, but Aaron's eyes adjusted quickly. He led Lysera along the path of least resistance, avoiding burning patches of marble and twisted metal. Every few steps, he stopped and checked the surrounding area, calculating the safest path suddenly. A Karn drone spotted them. Its eyes glowed red, and it fired a plasma blast. Aaron dove in front of Lysera, taking the hit in his shoulder. The blast scorched his uniform and burned his skin, but he didn't cry out. Instead, he rolled, grabbed Lysera, and sprinted toward a nearby fountain that had collapsed under the attack. Lysera gasped, seeing the human bleeding but still moving. "You're hurt," she shouted. "I'm fine," he said, his voice calm despite the pain. "Keep moving. Don't stop." They made it behind the fountain, using the broken marble as cover. Aaron pressed a hand to his shoulder, trying to stem the bleeding. Lysera wanted to help, but he motioned for her to stay low. "You're my responsibility," he said. "If I stop, you're exposed. Let me handle this." She looked at him, astonished. She had never met anyone who would risk their life so completely for someone else. Her guards would have fled without a second thought, but Aaron stayed. His courage was raw, instinctive, and it gave her a strange sense of safety in the middle of chaos. The sound of the Karn's roars grew louder. The massive war beast had noticed their movement. Its heavy steps shook the garden, sending birds and debris flying. Aaron looked at the path ahead and knew they had little time. He grabbed Lysera's hand. "We run, now." They sprinted across the broken garden, dodging plasma blasts and falling debris. Aaron used his body as a shield, pushing Lysera behind him whenever a shot came near. He yelled instructions, guiding her through the chaos, calculating each step as if the world depended on it because it did. A bridge ahead was partially destroyed. Below, a chasm led to a lower terrace filled with rubble. Lysera froze, her eyes wide. "I can't," she began. Aaron stopped and turned to face her. His expression was calm, but firm. "Yes, you can. One step at a time. I'm right here. You will make it." He went first, carefully stepping across the cracked and unstable bridge, testing each stone. Lysera followed, holding tightly to his hand. Every creak of the marble made her heart pound. Behind them, the carnivore beast smashed a wall, cutting off the path they had just crossed. They had no choice but to keep moving forward. Finally, they reached the lower terrace. Aaron helped Lysera over a fallen column, then pressed her against a wall. He could see the tunnel in the distance, partially obscured by smoke and debris. It was their only chance. The Karn scouts were getting closer. Aaron checked his pistol low on energy, but he had a plan. "We can't fight them all," he said. "We need to create a distraction." He picked up a piece of fallen metal, heavy and sharp. When the nearest scout appeared, he hurled it with precision. The metal struck the scout, knocking it off balance and giving them a few precious seconds. They ran for the tunnel, Lysera nearly stumbling in her fear. But Aaron caught her and pulled her along. The tunnel was narrow, dark, and covered in debris, but it provided some protection from the Karn's sensors. Inside, the air was cooler, filled with the smell of stone and dampness. They could hear the roars of the war beast fading behind them. Aaron pressed Lysera against the wall, catching his breath. His shoulder burned, and he winced, but he did not complain. "You are incredible," Lysera said softly, finally finding her voice. "I have never seen anyone do what you just did." Aaron shook his head. "It's not about being incredible. It's about surviving and keeping you alive. That is what matters." Lysera looked at him closely. He was covered in dust and blood, his clothes torn. Yet he stood with the calmness of someone in complete control. Her admiration grew with every moment. For the first time, she saw humans as more than primitive creatures. They were brave, adaptable, and willing to risk everything for others. Aaron checked the tunnel's exit. It led to a service quarter that connected to the palace's outer walls. They were not safe yet, but the immediate danger had lessened. Still, the sounds of destruction echoed around them. The Karn would not stop. He glanced at Lysera. "Stay close," he said again. "We are not out of danger yet, but we will make it if we keep moving." She nodded, gripping his arm. For the first time, she felt that she could trust someone completely, even when everyone else had fled. She realized that this human, fragile by appearance, had a courage that surpassed her soldiers and guards. He was a shield, a protector, and in that moment, he became her lifeline. They moved carefully through the tunnel, Aaron leading and Lysera following. Every sound made them flinch, every shadow seemed like a threat. But Aaron's presence gave her strength. He moved with purpose, his mind calculating paths, exits, and dangers faster than she could comprehend. As they emerged from the tunnel onto a smaller courtyard, Aaron paused. The sun was lower now, casting long shadows across the ruined palace grounds. Smoke rose from several fires, and distant Karn patrols moved through the city. Aaron checked his surroundings carefully. He saw a partially intact wall that could provide cover and a safer path toward the eastern ridge, where the palace security had regrouped. He extended his hand to Lysera. "We go that way," he said. "Step by step, we survive." Lysera took his hand, her grip firm. She had faced fear before, but never like this. And yet, beside him, she felt something strange, hope, the kind of hope that came from seeing someone stand when all others had fled. Aaron led the way forward, guiding her through the broken courtyard, dodging rubble, fire, and enemy patrols. Every step was a risk, every moment a test. And yet, he never faltered. For Lysera, the memory of the human shielding her, taking the blows, moving calmly through chaos, would stay with her forever. She understood now that courage was not about strength or weapons, it was about standing firm when others ran, about risking everything to protect someone else. And in that ruined courtyard, with the Karn still hunting them, Aaron Blake proved exactly what it meant to be human. Aaron led Lysera through the outer courtyard, keeping low behind broken walls and toppled statues. The fires from the palace lit the night sky, turning smoke into long streaks of orange and gray. The sounds of destruction surrounded them, explosions, shouts, and the distant roars of Karn beasts. Each step was dangerous, but Aaron never slowed. Lysera struggled to keep up, her breathing heavy. She had never run so far in her life, and fear made her muscles feel weak. Aaron noticed and slowed slightly, letting her catch her balance. "Keep your head down and follow me," he said firmly. "Don't look around. Just move." "But what if they catch us?" she whispered, panic in her voice. "They won't," he replied. "We move fast, and we move smart. Stay close." They ran across the broken marble of the courtyard, jumping over debris and dodging small fires. A section of the palace wall had collapsed, revealing a wide stairway leading to a lower level. Aaron motioned for Lysera to follow. "This way," he said. He tested each step quickly before moving forward. As they descended, they heard the sound of claws scraping stone. One of the Karn war scouts had noticed their movement. Aaron turned, drawing the plasma pistol from his side. The scout was fast, but Aaron was faster. He fired 3 short bursts, striking the creature in the chest. Sparks flew from its armor as it shrieked in pain and retreated slightly. "Are you okay?" Aaron asked, glancing at Lysera. She nodded, though her face was pale. I think so," she said. Her voice trembled, but there was a spark of determination now. She realized that if she wanted to survive, she had to follow him without hesitation. They reached the lower terrace, where the palace gardens had once bloomed with trees and fountains. Now, they were destroyed. The fountains had cracked, and water mixed with dust to form mud underfoot. Fallen branches and debris made it hard to move. Quickly, the Karn were searching in the area, their red eyes scanning every shadow. Aaron pointed to a narrow service corridor that led to a partially intact tower. "We go there," he said. "It's not perfect, but it's safer. From there, we can find a way to the ridge." Lysera followed him closely. She noticed something about the way he moved. Every step, every decision seemed calm and precise. He did not panic. He was human, yes, but unlike any human she had ever met. As they entered the corridor, a Karn drone appeared at the far end. It hissed, sensing their movement. Aaron ducked behind a broken wall, then peered out. The drone advanced slowly, claws scraping the floor. "Stay behind me," Aaron whispered. He fired to short bursts. One bolt hit the drone's armor, and it screeched in pain. The other ricocheted harmlessly off a piece of metal. The drone lunged forward, and Aaron rolled, pulling Lysera down with him. The drone skidded past, leaving a trail of sparks and smoke. They moved quickly down the corridor, reaching a spiral staircase leading up the tower. The stairs were cracked and unstable, but Aaron tested each step before moving. Lysera followed, clutching his arm tightly. Every sound, every creak of stone made her flinch, but she kept moving. At the top of the tower, they found a small observation room. Broken windows gave a view of the ruined palace grounds. Fires burned across the city, and distant explosions lit the night sky. The Karn were everywhere, but the higher ground gave them a moment of safety. Aaron pressed his hand to Lysera's shoulder. "Catch your breath," he said. "We have a few minutes, but we cannot stay here long." She nodded. Taking deep breaths, she looked at him, noticing the blood on his shoulder and the dirt on his face. He had been wounded, yet he stayed calm, focused, and protective. She could not stop staring at him. For the first time, she realized that humans were capable of courage she had never seen in her own people. "Why are you doing this?" she asked softly. Why risk your life for me? Aaron shrugged slightly, though he kept his eyes on the ruined city. Because it's the right thing to do. Someone has to protect you. Someone has to stand when others run. I could leave, but I won't. You're worth saving. Lysera felt a strange warmth at his words. She had been taught that humans were weak, selfish, and unpredictable. But this human, he was different. He acted with honor, with courage, with a willingness to risk everything for another. Suddenly, a loud roar broke the moment. The carnivore beast was nearby, searching for survivors. Its massive claws smashed stone and debris as it moved. Aaron immediately drew Lysera close. We move again. Now, he said. They descended the tower carefully, moving along the narrow ledges and avoiding broken sections. The Karn scout appeared again, blocking their path. Aaron fired a precise shot, hitting its armor. The drone shrieked and retreated, but more were on the way. Aaron grabbed a loose metal pipe and swung it with skill, knocking a small drone aside. Lysera watched, amazed at his agility and speed. Humans were not supposed to move like this, not with such strength and precision. Yet here he was, protecting her, moving as if he had done this 1,000 times before. They reached another corridor that led to the eastern ridge. Fires from below illuminated their path. Casting long, flickering shadows, Aaron paused to assess the route. We have to run across the open courtyard, he said. It's risky, but faster. Stay behind me. Lysera's heart raced. She saw the courtyard below, filled with debris and scattered Karn patrols. The path was dangerous, but Aaron's calm confidence gave her courage. She nodded, gripping his arm tightly. Aaron counted silently, then bolted forward. Lysera followed, running as fast as she could. Plasma blasts flew around them, and debris fell from damaged walls. Aaron used his body to shield her whenever a shot came close. He guided her with steady hands, giving clear instructions with every step. They reached a partially destroyed fountain in the middle of the courtyard. Aaron pushed Lysera down behind it. As a Karn scout lunged at them, he fired his pistol quickly, striking the scout in the chest. Sparks flew, and the drone fell, but more were coming. Aaron didn't hesitate. He grabbed Lysera and ran again, dodging debris and fire. His shoulder burned from the earlier wound, but he ignored it. The carnivore beast roared from the far side of the courtyard, its eyes glowing red as it searched for them. Finally, they reached a section of the palace wall that was partially intact. Behind it was a narrow service corridor that led to safety. Aaron guided Lysera into the corridor, checking behind to make sure the Karn had not followed. Inside, the air was cooler, and the smell of smoke was less intense. The walls were made of solid stone, giving them a moment of protection. Lysera leaned against the wall, catching her breath. We made it, she whispered. Aaron shook his head. Not yet. We're closer, but danger is still ahead. We need to keep moving to the ridge. From there, we can contact reinforcements. Lysera looked at him, her respect and admiration growing. He was injured, tired, and yet completely focused on keeping her alive. She realized that humans were capable of bravery that no alien could match. Courage that came from instinct and heart rather than duty alone. Aaron led her through the corridor, moving carefully but quickly. Every sound made her flinch. Every shadow seemed threatening, but Aaron's calmness steadied her. He calculated each step, each turn, and each obstacle with precision. When they finally emerged onto the ridge, they could see the city in flames below. The Karn forces were still attacking, but the height gave them a clear view and a moment to plan their next move. Aaron pressed a hand to Lysera's shoulder. We are closer now, he said. The palace guards have regrouped nearby. From here, we can reach them and call for help. Lysera nodded, taking deep breaths. For the first time, she felt hope. The human had kept his promise. He had shielded her, guided her, and risked his life to bring her this far. She realized that courage was not about power or weapons. It was about standing firm when others fled, about protecting someone else at any cost. Aaron checked his pistol, then motioned for her to follow. The ridge was still dangerous, but they had made it this far. Together, they would face the next challenge. Lysera looked at him and whispered, "Thank you." Aaron gave her a small smile. No thanks needed. We survive. That is what matters. And with that, they moved forward, stepping cautiously across the ridge, ready to face whatever danger came next. Their bond growing stronger with every step. The human had proven that courage, determination, and selflessness could change everything, even the fate of a princess in the midst of chaos.